Good morning. Today I am in conversation with Ellil. Thank you so much for being a part of this project, Ellil. And to start with, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Ellil and I'm 66 this year. And my day job is as a director in a security services agency. But a lot of my time is spent in the patient advocacy space,
Okay.
both in support groups as well as other initiatives. So when I heard that there was such a project going on, I was very keen because it just brings back rush of memories of my younger days. And so I was very happy to just agree to do this. Thanks a lot for having me.
No, and of course we're very curious to try and revive some of those memories. Tell me a little bit about your growing up years, your younger years. Which part of Singapore did you actually grow up in, and what kind of memories do you have about your neighbors, about the environment, about the kind of activities that you were involved in when you were much younger?
So I basically spent a lot of time living in the East. So in my pre-teen and teen years, I was living in Kallang Airport. So that is where you now know it as Old Airport Road. People know it for the hawker center. But of course, when I was there, the hawker center was not there. The old National Stadium hadn't been built yet.
So what year are we talking about?
We're talking about the late 60s, early 70s.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I find that the whole neighborhood, everyone was very friendly. Everyone knew everyone else. And even I lived on the 7th floor. All the families were very close, although we were multiracial. And I practically lived in my friend's place. He was Hainanese. And when dinner at my place was not good, I'll just go away and have dinner at his place. And being so near, we sometimes sleep over at each other's place. All right. And okay, so when we were younger, we had a lot of time to play.
Right.
We didn't have as much homework. I don't remember doing any homework. And it was such a wonderful time because parents were too busy, either taking care of the housework or going out to work, and we were pretty much left on our own when we were not in school. So it was just play and a lot of fun. Of course, we got into a lot of trouble. Yeah, and there were a lot more places to explore. So before the old National Stadium was built, there were these huge monsoon drains. And then we used to go there and we caught rainbow fish. And there were tons of them.
So they were in the drain.
That's right.
In the storm drains.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
And then we brought everything back and we didn't have a big fish tank. So we dumped everything into the tank. It would be full of rainbow fish. There wouldn't be place for them to swim around. Yeah. And then, yeah, of course, football was a big thing. Any available space, we would play football. Okay,
So
we were
did
crazy
you
about it.
have a ground in front of where you lived, where you would play football?
Yes, so
Yeah.
our block of flats just in front, there was a big lawn.
A lawn.
All right,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And then we just challenged just about anyone, who was willing to play. Of course, there were lots of fights.
Yeah.
And that area was also gangster infested. So we had to be careful.
Okay.
So there were some areas where you had to be fearful, risk getting beaten up if you say the wrong things or you antagonize the wrong person and stuff like that. But it was a lot of fun and we forged really close friendships.
Friendships. Yeah.
And we are
Yeah.
friends to this day after 50, 60 years.
So when you're saying it was the airport,
Airport.
old airport.
Correct.
Okay. So when you say old airport, which means that at the time it was not an airport and it then became an airport, or there was a residential area at the old airport?
Okay, so now we need to refresh our memories. So the oldest airport
Okay.
was not Payal.
Okay.
Okay, so before that, it was somewhere in Kallang, and the old PA had something like a circular building tower. That was a control tower for the very old airport.
Okay.
But since my younger days, they had already moved to Payal, all right, which is now an air base, but it used to be our commercial airport before they moved to Changi.
Oh, I
All
see.
right.
Okay.
And
okay.
that's why that road was called Old Airport
Old
Road.
Airport Road.
But in those days, we referred to the area as Kallang Airport because it was Kallang and it probably was an airport before. Yeah. My generation, they know it's Kallang Airport. Nowadays, you call it Old Airport Road. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Is that Seletar?
No,
It's
no,
different.
it's
Seletar is different. Okay.
Seletar in those days was for the military. So now they
okay.
also have commercial flights.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So then when you moved from there, where did you move to?
So from Old Airport Road, I actually moved to Bedok.
Okay.
So people will identify with Block 85 Bar Chow Mi. It is Bedok North Avenue 4 behind the police station. In those days, even the PIE wasn't built. So where my block was, I was living on the 7th floor. We wake up in the morning and look out from the corridor, mist. Cows grazing. Because in those days, there were farms in that part, which was part of Tampines.
And what kind of farming did they do?
It wasn't large-scale farming.
Okay.
Yeah. You see the occasional cow going by, it was misty, and it was really a very beautiful sight, very refreshing.
And how long did you live there for?
Okay, so I was in up to 1985. And then I moved to Bedok Reservoir.
So the part of Bedok where you lived earlier, what kind of changes have you seen there from when you lived there to what it looks like now? If you can be a little descriptive on the physical aspect of the changes.
All right. So what had happened was a short while later, they actually constructed the Pan Island Expressway. So this big road in front, and of course there's traffic. And around that area, blocks of flats popped up. So they started building HDB flats. And of course, then they built a school, so that now it's a school immediately below the block. So basically, it just got more populated, more HDB flats mostly, and supporting buildings like schools and so on. So it's pretty crowded now. I've been back, and yeah, so it's not the same feeling anymore, and this feeling of being cramped. So that bothers me a bit. Yeah, so it has become more built up.
I guess as the population increased and as there were more and more people wanting to live in communities, that's when the construction started to happen. This Lumina Vitae episode is brought to you by the Bloom Fund, managed by TRCL. The Bloom Fund is an intergenerational initiative dedicated to bridging generations and fostering meaningful connections between seniors and younger communities. By promoting shared experiences and mutual understanding, the fund aims to reduce social isolation, cultivate empathy, and build a more inclusive and compassionate society. Through strategic partnerships and ongoing research, the Bloom Fund continues to champion innovative arts programs that empower individuals to grow together across ages. Are there any other memories of places that you can recall which, for the younger generation, will probably come as a surprise? To believe that something like this actually existed when you were growing up?
I was living in Singapore, of course, and the nearest school for me, the nearest secondary school, was Victoria School, which was in the Jalan Besar area. And the bus service that took me there, and there were two, service number 44 and service number 32. And every morning, just before we reach where I need to alight to walk to my school, we will pass by these two huge blue tanks. And there will be this faint smell of gas, which made me very uncomfortable. So in those days, I think the memories I have all related to smell. One is this very unpleasant smell of gas. I must assume that it was safe, the level of leakage, because nothing was done about it. But then when I reached my school, opposite my school was an abattoir where they slaughtered pigs. So can you imagine in the morning the stench?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
First, when you're driving on the bus to school, riding to school.
Okay, I need to alight and walk to school. So when we approach our school, so it's French Road, and just across the school is this abattoir. And in whatever sleepy mood you are, the moment you reach there, you are wide awake. It jolts you to... Yeah, so it's strange that it's all related to smell, right? Yeah, but the Kallang Gasworks were formidable, these huge blue tanks. And because it's associated with going to school, so it's not something that I remember fondly.
Not
Yeah.
a happy memory.
But it
Yeah.
was a huge landmark.
Yeah.
And it has since been, I think, redeveloped that land. I don't know what happened to the tanks. They must have dismantled it and they must have found some other source because that used to supply the gas we
The
use.
entire city.
That's right.
Okay. And was there a river flowing along the gasworks, or
Yes, there was.
there was?
Yeah, there was.
And that river still obviously exists.
Yes, but
Yeah.
it's a lot more beautiful now. The
Okay.
government has done a fantastic job. And then there are parkways now. All
Okay.
right, the park connectors.
Right.
All along the river, which lead right up to the Marina Barrage. So
Right.
I've done that route many times. It's good for cycling, for jogging, for just brisk walking or taking a stroll. It's really beautiful.
So do you remember the color of the water when you were riding on the
I
bus?
can remember the color and the smell.
So what was the color like?
It was black.
Because of
I think of
Industrial
silt
area.
and yeah, and of course low tide, the smell hits you.
yeah.
But again, I'm so grateful for the job that the government has done in converting these places. And it's so beautiful, so pleasant now. Yeah, I've seen the changes, so I really appreciate all the things that have changed.
So the modernization of the city is something that you appreciate.
A lot, yes.
Okay. Okay. But do you believe that there is still a lot of Singapore which is as it was all those years ago? Because I think there's a lot of preservation as well. So is there any one part of Singapore that you still see visually now as it was when you were growing up?
I can name a couple of places. Both of them are in the east. One of them is Changi Beach.
Changi Beach.
Yes.
Okay.
So if you go to Changi Village and you cross that little bridge and you go to the other side, the beach there is pretty much still the same, although the surrounding has probably been touched up, made better for picnickers and all that. But it is still what it used to be, unlike East Coast, which is all reclaimed. Before that, I used to go to school in Tanjung Ru. It is now all condos. And Katong Park was the park that we used to go to when I was young. And now that is where the East Coast Parkway is all reclaimed land from then on. So the sea's edge has gone much further out. But at Changi Village, when you cross the road, the beach is still where it used to be. Yes. And of course, the other one was Pulau Ubin.
Were you able to go to Pulau Ubin growing up?
Yes, there were sampans that brought you across.
Okay.
You could go there and camp, and it was a big thing going to Pulau Ubin those days as
And
well.
so what was there in Pulau Ubin? Is it exactly the same, or has there been some kind of development?
There has, of course.
Okay.
It isn't exactly the same, but there were all these houses there where the
So was it
people
like a
live.
kampong?
Yes, those
Okay.
were kampong houses, and they provided some of the supporting services like food and drinks. Of course, I don't think they have some kind of a community center now there. Those were not there. So pretty much unspoiled, and it was a nice way to spend a day in nature.
And so how long did it take you to get to Pulau Ubin?
Not very long, because the sampans were also motorized. They were not as organized now. I think recently there was some hoo-ha in the press about this guy not wanting to pay $1 more for the fare, ended up paying $48 to come back. And so it was much cheaper.
Okay.
But they were motorized sampans that brought you across.
Okay.
It didn't take
That's
that
so
long.
interesting. You've actually taken me through a whole cross section of what Singapore looked like, felt, and even smelt all those years ago. So thank you so much, Ellil. And I hope the younger generation is able to appreciate what Singapore was and the progress that it has made. But I think it's important to still hang on to some of the heritage, some of the oldness, which I think has been beautifully captured and maintained. And at the same time, the city country is absolutely so modernized. Once again, thank you very much for your time.
It was a real pleasure, and thanks for having me.
Thank you.